This name is not just a village, but a talisman. The air here smelled not of soil, but of old gold and frozen blood. The fate of this village was sealed not by the boon of goddess Lakshmi, but by a blood pact with a cruel, unrighteous deity. The center of this talisman was Sharda Haveli. This marble mansion on the outside was a cursed graveyard from within. Every safe, every jewel in it, was a piece of debt owed to the god of death. A debt that, every 10 years, required the family to surrender their most innocent child to the god of death. This was not wealth, but a devil's deal passed down from generation to generation. And the story begins when the final installment of that terrible debt was due. On that full moon night of Shravan, when the moon was blood red, Manoj and Gauri slept, their 5-year-old son, Chintu, nestled between them like a flower. But that night, peace was about to be shattered. The window in the room suddenly slams open. A gust of cold, rotten air blows, extinguishing the lamp and filling the room with the stench of old corpses. Chintu suddenly wakes up in fear. His eyes are fixed on a corner in the darkness. Mom, Dad, his eyes, he's in that corner. Horse, Mom, horse, Manoj, where is this smell coming from? And such a strong wind, the door is closed. What happened to Chintu? Calm down, Gauri. It must be some wild animal or burning garbage outside. Don't be afraid. Manoj tried his best, but even in the darkness, everything in the mansion trembled. Among the shadows on the wall, that shadow opened its eyes. Eyes that burned like coals. It wasn't an animal. It was the guardian of the curse. From the banyan tree behind the mansion, an unbearable, terrifying neigh, resembling a human scream, echoes. The sound was so close that it felt as if someone had screamed inside the room. Manoj, that voice isn't the horse. He's coming towards us. Be quiet, Gauri, don't wake him. Manoj hugged Chintu, as if he could block the devil's gaze with his chest. He knew it wasn't an animal, but the knock of a centuries-old debt. And that knock had come so close for the first time. Chintu brings an old wooden horse toy. One of its eyes is broken, and it bears an ominous mark. Gauri snatches the toy and shows it to Grandma Sharda Devi. Grandma, where did this toy come from? It doesn't seem to be made of wood. It feels as cold as ice to the touch. And look at that strange mark, how did it get into Chintu's room? Be quiet, daughter-in-law, don't touch that thing. Put it back where it came from. I don't understand, Grandma. And why do you want to put it back? Don't throw it away, Gauri. It's important to put it back. Don't burn it, or it will be very bad. Very bad. Grandma orders her to put it back without touching it. Gauri is horrified, but in a fit of rage, she throws the toy into the kitchen stove. Instead of burning in the flames, the wooden toy emits a thick plume of black smoke. Gauri recoils in fear. As the fire dies down, the toy lies unharmed amid the pile of coals. There's no mark on it. Her eyes widen. She immediately picks it up and hides it in a locked room far away in the mansion. But the next morning, the toy is found, perfectly intact, near Chintu's pillow. The wheel of fate had turned. The god of death had chosen his sacrifice. That evening, while playing with the toy, Chintu went to the well on the edge of the mansion. He heard the horses neighing again. He threw the toy into the well. And as the toy fell into the dark water, a cold, rotten breath came from within the well. Along with the toy, Chintu vanished forever. With Chintu's disappearance, Manoj's soul and body had given up. He couldn't do justice to his child who had lost his innocence. He now knew the true truth about this cursed house. And this truth became the ultimate punishment for him. What was the fault of an innocent 5-year-old child that he had to pay the price for this centuries-old demonic debt? Manoj realized that he had witnessed the fulfillment of the cursed pact with the god of time with his own eyes. Burdened by this humiliation, this helplessness, and immense remorse, he committed suicide the very next day. Perhaps knowing that death was better than living as a slave in this mansion. Chintu's death and then Manoj's suicide had turned Gauri into stone. Now her only goal was to find out the truth. She kept an eye on her grandmother. Gauri secretly followed the servant Gopal and her grandmother Sharda. They descended to the locked basement at the bottom of the mansion. Gopal stood guard outside. Gauri peeked in through a broken window. The scene inside was horrific. Grandma gasped in front of the dark, ugly, and terrifying statue of the god of death. It was the effect of black magic, fueled by fear and compulsion. God, I have given you my last heir, my grandson. Now stop. My son, my grandson, everything is gone. I have to end this pact. Impossible. The only way to break the bond with the god of death is through death. But even that won't be an easy death, Grandma. You'll have to lose your life, wealth, and peace, everything. Otherwise, prepare the next sacrifice quickly. Gauri overheard everything. The secret of the Thakur's wealth was a blood debt. Every 10 years, the youngest heir of their generation was sacrificed. Chintu was their victim, and the god of death's horse came only to collect sacrifices. Gauri learned that Grandma had summoned her daughter, Aparna, and her son, Deepak, from Australia under the pretext of a will. Deepak was the next sacrifice. Gauri had made up her mind. Grandma, you killed my son. This wealth, this cursed wealth, is worthless. Shut up, you're a city girl. You won't understand. This isn't wealth. This is my debt. If I hadn't given it, this mansion, this family, would have been destroyed long ago. Grandma, furious, runs to the basement for the ritual. Gauri runs to the door. Today, there will be a sacrifice, Grandma. Now, you will end this agreement by sacrificing your own life. Gauri closes the basement door with all her might and secures it with rusty, poisonous chains from the outside. Grandma's screams are heard from inside. Within minutes, the screams turn into roars, and the mansion begins to tremble. The god of death immediately punishes her for breaking the agreement. The next morning, Grandma Sharda Devi is found dead. Her death was horrific. The will was bequeathed to Aparna and Deepak. Even after losing everything, Gauri chose a terrible path of revenge. Burning with vengeance, Gauri directly joined hands with Baba Nayan Sukh. She had lost her child and husband for this mansion. Now, she had lost this property as well, because an heir was still alive. A new blood pact was made with Deepak to reclaim the property and serve the god of death. Deepak will be my next sacrifice. Mark him. Nayan Sukh completes the ritual. Deepak is marked for sacrifice. Strange shadows begin to appear in the mansion again. Gauri's face no longer held peace, but ferocity. But the god of death could not be tricked. The night Gauri was preparing for the ritual, Aparna came to her. "Sister-in-law, I want to tell you the truth. We don't need this mansion. We have everything God gave us, and we are well settled in Australia. What should we do with this mansion? You lost my brother and your child. You can keep this mansion too. And I forgot to tell you one thing, Deepak is not my real son. We adopted him because we couldn't become parents." "What? What did you say?" Gauri was shocked. The agreement was clear. The sacrifice would only be made through blood relations. This sacrifice would backfire not on Deepak, but on Gauri, the one who signed the agreement. Gauri runs to Nayan Sukh. "Break the agreement, Baba, or I'll lose my life." "It's too late, Gauri. Once an agreement is made, the god of death takes the first one who breaks it. Now, no one can escape. Only the debt of blood remains." The god of death had descended into the mansion with the neighing of a horse. The enslaved souls of Gauri's daughter Chintu and husband Manoj began to surround Gauri. The god of death attacks Gauri in the form of a shadow. Gauri screams terribly, but she is unable to withstand the power and is captured. Her soul, too, becomes a slave to the mansion. Aparna somehow escapes with Deepak and meets Baba Nadeshwar outside the mansion, a holy and powerful tantric. Everything that binds this evil must be burned. If the agreement isn't fulfilled, the bond may be broken. Aparna and Nadeshwar reach the basement. Nadeshwar chants mantras and gathers all the ritual items, bones, black threads, and the idol of the god of death, and sets them on fire. But the flames go out. The god of death's power are immense. He demands blood. Just then, Baba Nansuk, who, driven by greed, had woven this web, arrives. His eyes are filled with remorse. "My father, I must repay this debt to him." Nansuk pours oil on himself without delay. He sets himself on fire. A fierce flame of self-sacrifice rises, and the idol of the god of death instantly turns to ashes. Grandmother, Manoj, and Gauri, all their enslaved souls, shriek and disappear into the darkness. Nadeshwar's final sacrifice saves Aparna and Deepak. Aparna has sold the mansion and is leaving the village, feeling everything is over. Aparna is driving her car. Deepak is sitting in the back seat. His face remains unperturbed. "Everything is fine now, son. We will go to a new, better place." "Mother, can I take this horse with me?" Aparna turns back. Deepak holds the same old wooden horse toy marked with the mark of the god of death. The toy that hadn't burned in the basement had survived. Aparna's throat goes dry. The border of Ratnapur was being crossed. But the curse on the mansion hadn't been broken. From the banyan tree left far behind, a terrifying sound, like the neighing of a horse, came again. The god of death wasn't dead. He had only calmed down because the debt of that blood still had an installment to pay, and Deepak had the toy to pay that installment.